Hey, what's up, everybody? It's David here with Tough Guys TV, and on this episode, we're doing a full review of the G1M Max. This is a new exercise bike by Yesoul Fitness. In this video, we're going to cover the unboxing, the full assembly, as well as my thoughts on this bike in particular, so I hope you'll stay tuned for this one. Now, this is the second time we've been lucky enough to partner with Yesoul, and we are excited to show off how the G1M Max is different from the previous models and better than some of the competitors you may be more familiar with.
All right, we're going to start with the unboxing, but if you'd like to skip ahead to later parts of the video, you're not going to hurt my feelings at all. Just make sure when you start the unboxing that you open the box from the correct way, which is actually opening it from the bottom so that you can lift the box off the top and all the contents slide out nice and pleasantly. Thank me later. I recommend going through this process relatively slow just so that you can make sure you don't miss any parts. As you'll notice, inside of these sections, there are parts hidden inside the styrofoam, as well as the boxes you'll need for the monitor and the speakers. There's also a small compartment that houses the cords that you will need in order to connect your devices to the screen. So make sure that you're checking all of those spots before you get rid of the styrofoam. Otherwise, you're going to end up buying parts that you've accidentally thrown away. This time around, they have the seat already installed on the bike body for you. I think that's a nice touch. Now jump ahead to assembly if you'd like. Otherwise, I'm going to spend about a minute going over the parts themselves so you can see what you're working with. You have a left and a right foot. These are the adapters for your shoes, so you don't have to wear custom shoes. You get a monitor mount. You also get the front handlebars that have a nice grippy finish on them. There are two rails, one for the front and for the back. These are the main supports. They include adjustable feet and little wheels on the front side only. Then you have the arm that is the front riser where you'll attach your handlebars later. This is a little holder for your phone and then the holder for the rear speakers. You also have a water bottle holder that mounts to the front. Here's the back side, and this has adjustable feet as well as the sticker with your serial. There's an adjustable arm for the monitor that already comes assembled, and then all of your accessories are nicely packaged in boxes, including your power cable, your power brick, and of course, these are American. The Bluetooth sound bar has little holes on the bottom for you to mount the mounting bracket later and the cords to plug them in. And then you have two speakers that mount on the back of the bike. These all connect via Bluetooth. And then the monitor itself is nice and lightweight with some connections on the back. Now heading into the assembly, you're going to start by assembling the front and the rear supports. That way the bike is more sturdy. There's two screws that you're going to remove and they have little washers on them. So you want to make sure you save those. You're going to remove those with the gold Allen wrench, and then you can adjust the feet as you need to at this time, but it's probably better to have the bike's weight on there so you can actually adjust it and make sure everything is level when you're ready. Once you get it lined up, you're going to take the two screws and put them back through those holes, making sure again that the washer is on there first, and then they just screw in. There's no need to over tighten these to the point to where they damage the screws. Just make sure that it's nice and tight. And if you need to tighten it later, you can do so. You're going to repeat the process for the front of the bike. Remember, the front side is the side that will have the little wheels on the front so that you can move it around. Next, you're going to install the riser for the monitor mount, and you have a little clippy connector. And don't forget about that. You need to loosen up the tension knob so that you can actually feed this thing in there. Once you have it loose, grab the little connector out of there. Make sure you have it positioned in the correct way and press it together. Should have a nice satisfying click when you've got it correct, so you'll know that you did it right. Then you can lower the arm down into this fitting, and then you can adjust the height later on by raising or lowering it when the little knob on the bottom is loose. Now, before you grab the handlebars to mount them, make sure that cord is out of the way because once you close it in, you're going to be in bad shape. Now, you don't need to put the front screws in yet, but you need to put the back ones in, and these are only going to be hand tight. There'll be two of them. So just put those in with your hand. No reason to over tight at this point. Once you've got those rear screws hand tightened, the next thing you need to grab is the monitor mount, and it's going to plug into that little connection there. They give you this part sort of assembled, you could say. You just have to mount it to the handlebars, and then the monitor mounts right into it, so it's kind of a nice feature. The reason you left those two screws out is because you needed to mount this. So now you're going to put one screw on each side. Once I got it tightened down, then I used the Allen wrench to go ahead and tighten it all the rest of the way. Next up, you've got another connector just like you did a few minutes ago. You're going to make sure you get it connected the correct orientation. Again, you should have a satisfying little click once it clicks in. And then once you have that all squared away, you're able to put the final screw right through the top of the center. This one's quite a bit longer, so you'll be able to tell it apart from the rest. You put this screw in and then make sure once you have that tightened that you tighten those other two screws that you left hand tight earlier. Next up is the phone mount. This thing is really easy. It just sort of clips on the front. just like that. And then you have one screw, just a little Phillips head that feeds from the backside that locks it in place. And that's it. Once you have the phone holder secured, the next step is to move on to the monitor. Now, the first thing you need to do with the monitor is make sure you have it on a safe flat surface, and then you're going to grab the mount. You'll notice that the top part of the mount is curved like the part of the monitor that it mounts to, so make sure you have it in the correct way. You'll have four of these screws, and then you need a Phillips head screwdriver, or you can use the gold colored Allen wrench that came in the box. It does work as a screwdriver, but if you have a regular screwdriver, this process does go a little bit faster. Now, moving on to the Bluetooth speaker, there is a little mounting bracket that you need to install onto the bottom. Again, four screws, and you're going to put the bracket onto the bottom, screw each of the screws in, and then once you have it secured to the bottom of the speaker, you'll be able to place it into the bottom of the monitor. It's important to make sure you have the correct orientation of the mount before you attach it. That's why I kind of showed that you have it L-shaped towards the front and you can see the button. Here's the little receiver on the back of the monitor. So again, you know you're feeding it the correct way and it just slides in and again, another satisfying click once you know you have it correct. If you've done this step correctly, it is a nice and clean fit. Everything feels nice and sturdy, and you're going to be ready to move over now and mount it onto the mounting arm. There's a screw at the top of this where you're going to remove it with the gold Allen wrench. It comes off with this rubber cap that was on there, and make sure you save that washer because it will fall off. Next, you can take the monitor mount on the back and lower it over this arm. You put the rubber piece back on and then feed the screw back in the top and tighten it into place. This is probably the easiest way to mount one of the bike monitors that I've experienced. This is my second Yesoul bike and multiple Pelotons. This is a super, super easy process to mount this monitor, so hats off. On the bottom side, the water bottle holder will mount here. The screws are actually already in that section of the monitor mount, so you're going to remove them from the mount and then slide on the holder, and then you're going to put the screws back in, so make sure you don't set those down and lose them. My Yeti cup fits quite nicely in this one. I'm not sure the exact size, but I can tell you that it fits comfortably. Now, moving on to the back side, we need to get the two Bluetooth speakers hooked onto their mount first before you can mount them onto the bike. Similarly to the last step, the screws that you need are actually already screwed into the speakers. So you're going to remove one screw from each speaker. Those screws are going to be used to attach them to the mount. You feed the mount on in the correct direction with the cord on the bottom side. And once you have that connected, you're going to take it back over to the bike. One last step is you need to remove the mounting screw from the bottom before you take it over there. Otherwise, you're going to have to do it from underneath the bike. Now on the back side, there's a little piece here behind the seat where it feeds in. It did take a little bit of effort to get it in there because it is a rubber liner so that it doesn't bounce around on you. Once you have the screw secured, now you have an audio cable you need to connect, as well as one of those other little connectors that you've seen. This one's a little smaller, but still be careful with the orientation. Last but not least is the pedals. You have a right one and a left one. The right one is marked with blue, the left one is marked with red. We're just going to go over the process of the right side so you can see. You're going to start by removing this locking nut, and you can tell that this part still freely spins. You're going to feed that one into the arm that's on the bike. Now you have this nice little wrench that comes with it. It's already pre-sized for this. If you have your own adjustable wrenches, of course, you could use those. I went ahead and just used what came in the box. Once you get that part from the pedal fed all the way through, you're going to reverse thread the nut back on and you're going to lock it in place. You're basically locking the pedal onto the arm. Another quick note is I actually have the tension on the bike turned all the way up so that the arm doesn't actually move when you'd be pedaling. Otherwise, this would be basically impossible. Once you have both pedals on, you're ready to move on to the media connections.
All right, so let's discuss how you hook up your phone to this screen here on the bike. It comes with a USB-C to USB-C type cable. Now, in my case, I'm using an iPhone Pro Max. This is a 15 Pro Max, so I have a USB Type-C, but they also do give you a secondary cord. This one is a USB-C to Lightning, so it looks just like a iPhone cable except for those blue ribbons. Those may be just plastic that's on there, but might be a good idea to leave these on there because these cords are specific to this bike. So this is the screen that you will get if you just turn the bike on and you don't hook up any accessories to it. It does let you track your workouts just fine, but you obviously probably don't want to look at something like that. So once you have set up your account in the app and you have the app on your device, you can plug in and you can see here it basically just does a screen mirror. So if you're in vertical format, it's going to do this. So we fire up YouTube, start one of my recent videos here. When you turn it into landscape mode, it does match on the screen, but notice it does still show you your metrics up here. So while you're working out, it can track. Now there is some nice volume on this. Now here's one thing that if you're building a barn door style home, now let's say you wanted to fire up a workout in the Yesoul app. I like the world view mode personally, and let's just select one here. Let's try New Zealand, and then you'll select which time, and then it's going to automatically kick into landscape mode. And you can see the volume there gets quite loud. I do not want to turn this up too loud though and get myself a copyright strike. But as you can see, nice place to sit your device, and the screen is full motion. It tilts up and down and twists so you can do your workouts wherever you need to. Now in the backside, there are those speakers that we looked at, and it was nice having a place to hold like little weights. You might be able to see those down there. In this case, you don't have that, you just have the speakers. So sort of a trade-off if you like to have the good booming sound. Now another quick note is that the screen here is not touchscreen, so you cannot interact. You do need to interact with your device down here at the bottom. Additionally, it does track your heart rate if you have an Apple Watch, but up here in the top, it does not track it up here with these little metrics that show up. So if you're doing like YouTube, you're not gonna be able to see that here. You'd have to look at your device. Okay, so all that said, what's it actually like to ride this bike? So that's the next thing we're gonna talk about. So I've personally had 2 different Peloton bikes, and this is my second Yesoul fitness bike. And I have to say that this is a great upgrade over the previous versions of the Yesoul bikes. I really like the sturdiness of this bike. Like, you can really get up and move on it quite well. Now in my case, I do have a rubber pad underneath this, so that does help give it some basic stability. But I have to say that the overall design of this, I really, really do enjoy. It's also pretty cool to be able to watch my friend Don and my friend Clara do their bike trip while I'm riding my bike. Shout out to them. I'll have a link to their channel below if you'd like to check out what they're doing. And you can hopefully see here how the adapters work for my shoes. These are just regular New Balance shoes. They're running shoes. They're not any sort of specialty bike shoes, but the connection works really well with these. And you can just tighten the latch on the side. If you need to make it a little bit tighter, you do have that available to you. But again, even going quickly, I don't have any risk of my shoe coming out or feeling unstable. But yeah, overall, you have water storage, you have a place to put your devices, you can easily adjust yourself on your tension. It does have the speakers in the back and the sound bar across the front. And like I said, you can really get up and move on the bike, and it's not creating any sort of weird vibration or making any sort of weird sounds or anything like that. And yeah, it's pretty cool that the monitor can just move like that. Like, how cool is that? That you can just move the monitor around depending on how you're gonna do your workout. Maybe some of it you're on the bike, some of it you're off the bike. Just another perk of having a bike like this. And all right, I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope that I brought you some value. If you were trying to make a decision on what kind of bike you wanted to purchase, maybe this one is the right one for you. If you do happen to have any questions, please leave those down in the comments or reach out to me on social media and I'll try to get you squared away. But yeah, overall for me, I like the build quality of the bike. I think it's sturdy. I think it's easy to maneuver, and it's easy to move around inside your shop or in your space where you're working out. I like the fact that it has a smaller screen than the previous models, and it has a nice matte finish on it, which I think is a nice touch. I also really like the speaker system because I just enjoy being able to listen to music out in the shop and then being able to move the screen if I'm doing a different kind of workout and I'm not just using the bike. It's just a huge advantage for something like this. And I also think that the seat is a nice upgrade over the previous models where it adds the air vent, just because we all know what happens when you sit on one of these bikes for like an hour. But anyways, I think that it's a good choice, and I hope that you'll consider this bike for yourself. And again, if you have any questions, let me know. And if not, then I will hopefully see you in the next video.